Hello and welcome to the very first of our faculty development webinar modules. This module will cover resident recruitment. In this module, we will cover what we are looking for in a St. Agnes resident, what we offer to interested residents in terms of compensation and benefits. We will also cover the basic do's and don'ts of interviews. We will also go over the interview questions themselves and how we would score the resident in these interviews. The recruitment subcommittee took a great deal of time in reviewing literature related to residents and resident recruitments. And from this literature, 10 traits were found to be those traits of outstanding physician residents. Each of the questions in the interview process have been designed to tease out these particular traits in the residents, and you will see them as we go through this webinar. The traits that the subcommittee has selected for consideration are conscientiousness and trustworthiness, hardworking or strong work ethic, humility, passion, professionalism, self-awareness and commitment to improvement, meaning a self-directed learner or someone who is self-oriented and understands what they know and what they don't know, clinical knowledge, compassion, time management and prioritization, meaning efficiency, and communication and language skills. Communication and language skills do not have a question in the interview set. They are something that we expect the interviewers to look at as they go through the interview process. In terms of communication and language skills, we are looking for individuals who can communicate effectively in English. So we would expect you to kind of consider as you're going through the interview, would this individual be able to communicate well with your patient and get their point across in a manner that the patient would understand. One of the first things that a resident is interested in is our compensation and benefits. We offer competitive salaries. PGY1s are receiving $56,000 a year in compensation. And in accordance with the Trinity Health model, residents will receive benefits on day one. You will be provided with a 2017-18 compensation and benefit summary. In addition, they receive paid leave, 11 holiday and vacation days, 5 days of educational, and 12 sick days, with 40 hours possible for rollover into the vacation bank. In addition, similar to St. Agnes colleagues, they will also receive an educational stipend. Plus, unique to GME, our residents will receive the MICSAP, as well as board review materials, and their 1-year first initial membership in ACP. Plus, there's much more, so we suggest that you read the benefit and compensation package prior to your interview. So now a few tips on doing a really great interview. Interviews are supposed to be conversational. They should be relaxed and somewhat friendly. We expect you to listen more than you talk and get the resident to open up about who they are. It's your job to determine whether or not they would be a good fit for St. Agnes. Keep the questions and the follow-ups open-ended, meaning no yes-no answers, and try to get it in a dialogue so that all questions and follow-ups to the candidate's answers are met with, how did you feel about that, or what did you learn? It's also good if you're talking about a negative situation or if it drifts into something negative that happened to the resident, to ask, how would you have done this differently? Build upon these and create some sort of rapport with the candidate. Avoid the tried and true, which we will do because our questions are designed to meet those traits that we've discussed earlier, and each interviewer will be provided with a series of questions that they could use. In the tried and true, we're talking about things such as, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or why did you pick this or that? These would be things that really drive us toward the traits that we desire. Be familiar again with the compensation and benefits summary before the interview. In addition, and probably really importantly here, is to talk about the St. Agnes brand and culture, about the Trinity Health system and the opportunities that it provides, and what makes our GME program unique within the community. Talk about the opportunities for career growth and development. It is also impactful for you to talk about what motivates you to work here, rather than giving a secondhand antidote. Consider sharing an impactful story that highlights what a positive work environment or experience you've had here. And now on for the legal considerations of interviewing. It's extremely important that the interviewers keep the questions job related. We are required to do so by law. Do not ask any questions that would solicit information about religion, creed, spiritual heritage, national origin, birthplace, ancestry, or ethnic origin, citizenship, gender, sexual orientation, age, race, color, family status, family planning, financial status, credit record, disabilities, on-the-job injuries, workers' compensation claims, physical skill level, physical characteristics, references, membership in organizations, political preferences, or union membership. So, before we go on to the questions themselves, I would like to briefly go over how you score your interview. Each of the questions that we will be covering today have a 1 to 5 Likert scale attached to them, which relates to the traits that we discovered earlier. 1, meaning low, should show that the candidate didn't exhibit the targeted trait or behavior. Either they didn't discuss it, didn't come close to it, or didn't provide enough information that you feel confident in saying that they had a higher score. On the other side, a rating of 5 or high would say that the candidate had all of the targeted behaviors, had a well-developed skill or aptitude for that particular competency or skill level, and is most likely to lead to job success, that they have superior qualities for this particular job in that particular trait that you're looking at. So before we move forward, I also want to offer that after reviewing this, if you would like to discuss this with me before your interview period, please feel free to contact me at the office or email me directly. So, on to the questions. Each one of the interview questions here, which you can review over and over if you'd like in the PowerPoint, are related to the particular traits that we discussed earlier. I will read the questions over for you briefly. Under clinical knowledge, tell me what you think your peers would say about your knowledge of medicine and why. What do you say is your best or worst area of medical knowledge and why? Why are you interested in this specialty? Under compassion, what was the greatest act of compassion you witnessed during your medical school career? What effect did it have on you? Tell me about a time when you believe you showed compassion toward a patient. How did it make you feel? Tell me about a time you had to build a relationship with someone you didn't get along with. Under conscientiousness and trustworthiness, you are expected to read this scenario and then ask the following questions. What do you tell the family, and what do you tell the GI consultant? Under hardworking, what do you think are the most important ethics for a physician in the medical workplace? How would you describe your work ethic? Tell me about how you would deal with a resident who wasn't doing their share of the work. Humility. How do you respond when asked to do something that you feel is beyond your capabilities? Draw on your work experience. Can you give me an example of a time when you wanted to give up and chose not to? Tell me about a time you made a mistake and had to tell a resident or an attending. What was the outcome? Under passion, what attributes do you look for in a residency location when you want to apply for a position? What's a big question in the medical field that you would like to solve and why? Why did you become a doctor? Professionalism. Tell me about a physician that you have met in your life that best represents an ideal clinician. What qualities do you share with this individual? How can St. Agnes Medical Center help you develop and strengthen these qualities? Tell me about a time you received feedback on your performance. What did you take away from that feedback? Tell me about a time when you were upset with the behavior of a team member or faculty, and how did you deal with it? Self-awareness. What skill or expertise do you feel like you need to strengthen or develop? Tell me how and when you recognize that this was a need? How can you go about this development? Tell me about a time when you were disappointed in your performance. Did you make any changes in this performance because of this disappointment? Tell me about a difficult decision you've made last year. How did that decision change you? Time management. Describe a long-term project that you managed. How did you keep everything moving along in a timely manner? What did you do if and when you discovered you were not on schedule? Tell me about a time you worked effectively under pressure and why you feel you were effective. Communication and language skills. This is where the interviewer would need to look. Please observe for the resident's ability to think on their feet and communicate effectively. Consider their language skills very carefully. The tone, the pitch, the delivery, and the clarity with regard to patient care and communication. Finally, in scoring the interview, what do you do after you say goodbye? We would like you, as the interviewer, to manage the time within your interview. We'd like to keep it to no more than 45 minutes. This will allow you enough time for basic greetings as well as wrap up after the candidate has left the room. Please allow 10 minutes for the candidate to ask you questions in this period, and allow approximately 5 to 10 minutes of period between interviews to collect your thoughts and score the interview immediately. Feel free to make handwritten notes, but please note it's extremely important that you return all notes, every and all notes, to me, Dana Luca, and don't make copies. Please note that these particular handwritten notes will become part of the legal employment file. For your own ease, we strongly recommend that you have on hand either a laptop or cell phone that picks up your email, because the link attached to this will be sent to you and you will be able to score the resident on the candidacy review form directly from your cell phone or from a laptop. It's very easy, very short, 10 questions and one open-ended at the end. Very simple, as you can see from this displayed here. This is just a screenshot. It shows you between 1 and 5 the Likert scale, and it goes through the 10 traits that we're looking for. And you'll be able to put the interviewer's name, your name, and then the candidate's name. This information, just so you know, is collected in an Excel spreadsheet and allows us to do pre-ranking before we actually go through the ranking process in the match. So this will conclude our webinar, and I hope this is helpful to all of you. In the meantime, as you review this, I'm happy to provide you with the actual PowerPoint deck that you could look at. And you are welcome to call me if you would like to discuss this further. My telephone number here at the hospital, my direct line, is 450-3590, or you can email me at dana.luca@samc.com. In addition, when you are in the interview room, you will be provided with the candidate's information as well as a note-taking review form and questions that you will be able to use during the interview. There's an interview 1 and 2 on our interview days so that we won't have the same interviewer asking, the same questions to the same candidate. We want to make sure we vary it up a little bit, so it'll be set up that way. The candidate will be provided with a jump drive that will have information on a little bit more about St. Agnes. It'll have a sample of the contract and some of the various things there. Additionally, each one of our reviewers will be receiving an invitation to join the ARIS website so that you'll be able to read prior to the interview their CV, their test scores, and get to know a little bit about them before the interview. And on a personal note, thank you, all of you, for agreeing to serve as interviewers. We are together making St. Agnes a great place to work, and thank you very much.